A guy that I represented for 20 years is John Smoltz. He's an incredible human being and obviously a terrific baseball player. John was the guy that would step out on the mound at the beginning of games, throw hard, sit guys down, and do it again 4 or 5 days later. So John was a starter. That was his rhythm. That was his routine. I'm sitting in my office one day, and the phone rings. It's the general manager of the team. The Atlanta Braves, he called, he said, Molly, we have an interesting situation. We don't have anybody next season that can close for us. He said, we don't have anybody that can step out on the mound at the end of games, throw hard, sit guys down. Would you be so kind as to chat with John, see if he'd consider shifting into this closer role? I said, wow, well, I'm happy to talk to him about it. He's 10 years into his career as a starter at the time. I hang up the phone and I quickly look. I see on my desk a quick reminder of what a wreck John's arm is. There were bone spurs that came out of one of John's many elbow surgeries. I'm sort of standing there as he's waking up. And I looked down at him, and John looked up at me, and the doc looked at John, and he said, just so you know, man, this is what we got from your elbow. The doc opens up his hand and shows John these bone spurs. John looks down at the bone spurs. He looks back up at me. He said, hey, do you want them? But like a good agent, I was like, absolutely, man, thanks, that'd be great. So there they are on my desk as a paperweight. So I'm instantly reminded, my team made him into a paperweight, of what a wreck his arm is. I called John up. I walked John through the whole thing. 3 days later, he comes up to the office. He sits down. He looks at me. He says, listen, this whole closer thing, I want to do it. John stepped into that role of closer and led the National League in saves the following season with 55 saves. What I saw over and over again with the 300 athletes and coaches that I worked with is they stepped into discomfort. They stepped into that pit in their stomach. They stepped into the change because what they knew was the person that could come out on the other side of that would be a little bit better version of the person that stepped in.